93.7 The Ticket. Live from the 93.7 The Ticket studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. This is Inside the Huddle with Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Fires a pass, and it's intercepted by the Huskers at the 25, Jay Foreman. And Foreman takes it down to the 19-yard line of Oklahoma. Another big play by the Blackshirts.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Sponsored by Advanced Medical Imaging.
Good morning, once again, Inside the Huddle with Jay Foreman. They say salutations to places, Harrison. Brought to you by Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. Again, I always give them props, man, because they brought your boy back what seems from the depths of hell. Dogs were barking. Going to actually see him tomorrow morning, bright and early, about the same time, 7:15 check-in. Hopefully by 8:15, I'm going to be feeling all right, man. So I appreciate Dr. Razdan and Dr. Finn, not only in Advanced Medical Imaging with their support, but we're Inside the Huddle every week or every Sunday. We're inching towards football season. The NFL teams are in training camp, or some of them are in training camp, so it's good to see some highlights. And then obviously, college football is right around the corner because we got Big Ten Media Days next week. It was a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I'll be doing some stuff remote and trying to get in the face of some of these coaches, and Matt Rule and company will be out there. So it'll be interesting to see, how that's handled. I mean, obviously, last year, I think Nebraska had made, I guess, plans or made it known they needed to be the first team up there because of, getting camp started early because of the Northwestern game. And obviously just in, I guess, you can, to hindsight's 2020, you get up, coach gets up there, doesn't give an opening statement. The only one that didn't give an opening statement, probably, was a look into, possibly how the season went. But I think Matt, one thing Matt Rule is going to be able to do is rock the mic.
Yeah.
He's going to rock the mic. He's done this before. He's going to highlight his program. He's going to do what he needs to do as a head coach and do what you do at the Big Ten Media Days. Talk about your program, the progress, and what you possibly could see, moving forward. So it'll be interesting to see the reaction of it. I know that, originally when he was hired, Trev said he didn't want to win the press conference. Trev underestimated Matt Rule in front of a mic. I'd seen him before, and like I said, one of my best friends coached with him. So I knew he could talk, and he stands on his words. He's not just out there just talking just to talk, but he knows what to say, and and really, to be honest with you, it seems like he believes it. So I mean, his conviction comes out in your words, not hollow words. Some people can say, "Oh, I believe in Harrison," or "I believe in the Huskers," and it's just kind of like it's like the Northwestern kid I was making fun of, on Old School, reading off of a cue card up and down, where Matt Rule he doesn't need many notes.
Yeah.
And when he fields questions, he's going to be able to answer the questions. I'm sure people, I do some work with the Big Ten. I'm sure the people that other, guys that do stuff at the Big Ten are going to come away impressed. I think this year, considering Matt Rule and the presence that Nebraska's made on the recruiting trail, his first press conference, and then his continued, he's out in the public. He was just at a concert somewhere a couple of days ago. He was just down in Houston doing kind of a coach's clinic. He was down there before and got recruits out of there. He's been, he's had numerous in-state visitors and stuff like that. So the media attention around the program is ramped up again. And so I think the local media would be out there probably in a little bit more depth this year as well.
I think quick, who's all going down for the ticket? It's you, Amon.
I think everybody.
Everybody? Okay.
I have no idea.
Okay.
I think me, Amon, DP, Rashawn, Farley, Jake, Sip will be there. And I think that's it.
That's the crew?
Okay. Yeah. So I think that's going. And then, I think some other, outlets and stuff will be there, probably in more than last year. I was a little surprised that other radio stations and stuff like that didn't cover Big Ten. And maybe that was just because of Nebraska was going to be the first one up. They were there at the shortest time as far as like player interviews and players being accessible. I think that definitely will change this year. Um, but anyways, into Nebraska and what to look forward to. We're doing a position breakdown. We're going to dive into it here, and we're going to I want to continue to look at the defensive side of the ball, and in particular the defensive line. And the way I like to do it is probably do my guesstimation of starters, and then the backups, and then maybe a surprise. And it's different because Nebraska had a 3-4 last year.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have a 3-3-5. So you can count the outside rushers as kind of in that front line, which is a MJ Sherman. So I expect MJ Sherman / Jamari Butler to start at that's the stand-up linebacker, hand in the dirt on third down, a guy that's going to be the featured position in this defense, right? So when you think of somebody like that, NFL wise, I'm not a big Cowboys fan, but DeMarcus Ware would be that type of position. I'll go old school with Charles Haley when he played with the 49ers and the Cowboys. So obviously those two are going to be starting, and those two are interchangeable, right? And when you run a 3-3-5, you got to have some flexibility, and so you want to be able. You'll be in a 3-4 front sometimes. In that 3-4 front could be one actually off the ball linebacker, two like Jamari Butler and MJ Sherman on the line of scrimmage, and then the kind of hybrid, whether it's Gifford, whether it's Javen Wright, whether it's Bullock, is the other linebacker. And it depends on down and distance, personnel, and obviously who's healthy, considering that Nebraska's had a little bit of health issues. But up front, in the 3 down linemen, my starters would be I would assume, first of all, I think Ty Robinson is going to start. Nash is probably going to be, the nose. I think he's done a good job of getting in better shape, increasing his cardio, and embraced what he needed to do as far as changing his body. And from everything that I've read, is that it seems like he's, coming along a little bit. And I think the new defensive line coach and the new scheme has, worked out well for him. But I think Dawson, those guys did a really good job with him last year, that you saw some of the strength that you heard about him, the polar bear, like he was so strong. He started to play stronger. I know everybody wanted to fixate on the one play against Wisconsin. That's one play, but they didn't fixate on the play before where he made a really good play, splitting the double team and making a tackle. And then the other starter, I think is going to be Judy, the transfer from Texas A&M. I think he has experience. I think he showed well in the spring game. And so you feel, I'm assuming that the coaches feel very comfortable with those three, as far as starting, and then the rotation. What the really big question is, when you look at the defensive line, is behind that. And I know they did a really good job of recruiting, defensive linemen and coming up, but the only other guy is Raekwon Buckley, who has a ton of talent. He's very, very raw, was very, very raw. So if he had a huge summer and has a really good fall camp, he could definitely be in the rotation. And, the good thing about it is when you don't have a lot of depth, the way college football is, a lot of teams, you're in nickel a lot. So you're going to be using Ty Robinson, Judy, maybe Buckley, Nash, if it's a rundown as far as a nickel. And then you can, mix in, Princewell is probably the one that really, really flashed the most out of all the incoming guys. And I'm not a big true freshman, but he plays strong with heavy hands. You know what I mean, Harrison? And so he didn't look out of place. And so when you think about what Nebraska needs to do, is not only, obviously play well and play the veterans, but you also have to mix in some of the young guys because they're good enough. It's not that you're just putting them out there because it was promised. Princewell, as an early enrollee, I think he had advantage of say a Jay Foreman coming in fall camp or in the summer, where he's able to get in, learn the lingo, learn the workouts. The coaches see him more. They can kind of coach around or add to what he does well or doesn't do well. But what he really has done is made a lot of plays. And he made a lot of plays at different positions. He made a lot of plays playing the 5 technique, which I was a little bit surprised at, considering he was a freshman. and then he also made some plays standing up. And it wasn't anything. I mean, really, when Tony White said, look, if you mess up starting at A and you don't go directly to B, but you end up at C, I'm going to put you on the field. So what that let me know is that he wants playmakers out there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's him. Noonan showed well, but you can't play both of them. And, because you got Cameron from the
Noonan?
No, Cameron Linhart, who actually probably looks the most ready out of Noonan, Princewell, and himself, because he played at IMG, which is almost like a high school prep school. Really good coaches. I mean, they have Pepper Johnson, former Super Bowl champion, NFL coach down there, and a ton of former NFL players coaching these guys. It's like football school. And you see why the previous staff had him. And then obviously the new staff went down there and got after him again, because when you see him play at 255 pounds, 6'3", 255, he plays with better technique than majority of the guys you see coming out of high school. And he makes some plays a factor. So you can't play 3 freshmen. Ideally, you don't want to, because whether coaches want to say it or not, you want to stack your roster, right? So if you have three guys that can play, you want to try to maybe play 1 or 2 at the most, but you want to make sure it's advantageous for their career. And they need to be on board with it as well. Now, the advantage is that they get to play 4 games and still redshirt. Essentially it gives them a whole season of playing, so you can kind of ramp them up, play them, send them back in the lab, and say, you played them because some guys get hurt, put them on the shelf, play them 2 weeks, and then play them at the end of the season as well if you need to, and get them 4 games. Or if you only get 2 or 3 games, still it's better than none if they choose to go that route. So the defensive line is a little bare from the depth and experience, but I think it's a huge year for Ty Robinson. When you think of, really I'm going to focus on him. This defense will come and go how he plays. I mean, it's time for him to really maximize and play to his potential. I mean, he's listed at 6'6", 310. I mean, he's 6'5", 300. I mean, he looks like an NFL defensive lineman, but looks can only take you so far, right? He's strong. He's fast. He shows quickness when he wants to. Now you need to see the more consistent play out of him. And it's a tremendous opportunity for him. Before, he was playing with a ton of depth. You got to think Ben Stilley was here. Daniels was here. Thomas was here himself. So there's so many guys that he had to play with and along. Casey Rogers was here. Riley was here. You got to think they had 6-7 defensive linemen in a rotation in a 3-4. So the chances to really flourish wasn't there, but the potential was there. And potential, I remember my dad telling me this. We're talking about guys with potential. He's like, you got potential right now, talking to me. He's like, but you haven't done tiddly poo yet. So Ty Robinson, he's done a little bit more than tiddly poo, but we need to, I think he can be a player if he takes it upon himself that could be second or third team Big Ten. It's not the only thing that's stopping it is him.
Yeah, I mean, he had some flashes last year where it looked like he was starting to come alive.
Yeah.
I can't remember what. It was down the stretch. He had a couple double teams. He was tearing through, which, at the beginning of the season, he wasn't getting through those.
Yeah, he was kind of taking it on the chin. And so maybe that was it. Maybe he saw like, hey, this is time to turn it up. Maybe he saw that, it was time for him to, be more of a leader. And, I know he had the shoulder injury, but, Ty works hard in the weight room. Again, he's naturally strong. The big dude,
6'6", 310.
310.
If he can get healthy.
Yeah. He should be healthy now, and hopefully his weight's about 290. I think that'd be the best, because I asked Jason Peter about him all the time. He's like, Ty's probably his best at 290. And you can play all game if the defense is going to come and go as him. If he is as good as he can be and plays up to his potential, that really nullifies any angst that you have about the defensive line. And it's a lot of pressure, but he's been here. He knows what it takes. It's not like he doesn't know Minnesota and their schemes or their players. It's not like he hasn't played against these top-notch players, or top-notch teams, excuse me. So now he should be more of a veteran. Now it's just, not going through the motions, but going out and dictating what you want to get done. Because the reason why I say that if he plays to his potential, it makes Heinrich's job easier. It makes Reimers more effective. It makes Jamari Butler more effective in his learning curve because he has a ton of potential, hasn't learned. It allows MJ Sherman, those two together, kind of be like a Grant Wistrom, Jason Peter, and Dominican Sue, Barry Turner, those type of guys, Pierre Allen. You get those guys going on third down. Now, if you want to put a Bullock in there at a linebacker, if you want to kind of have Javen Wright kind of play an inside linebacker or on third downs and stuff like that, it allows you to do that stuff more freely because you have a tempo setter in a new line of scrimmage. You know what I'm saying? And this isn't just flashes, right? You get the first thing that you said just let me know a lot about Ty, right? We've seen flashes. Now we want to. Now it's impossible to say we want you to go from seeing flashes to just dominate everything. Go from where he's at to Ndamukong Suh, but you can go somewhere in between.
Yeah.
You can be a Jared Crick or somebody like that. You can play with extreme effort and play with a different edge, and that will help the defense out tremendously. But actually, not only the defense, will help the team.
Yeah, not even Crick, because Crick was a hell of a player too. Just
right, but he has the potential to be that, though.
You think so? You think
he's bigger than Crick?
That's a good point. Yeah,
he's stronger,
put together. Plus, Crick, if you're being fair, the support around him,
right? But I'm just talking individual to individual. They're standing next to each other. 290, 295, 6'6", strong as an ox when he wants to be. It's potential. Crick has already done it. That book is written.
Right.
This one still got some pages that need to be filled up, and they need to be filled up rapidly. So, but also what people don't understand for the listeners out there and on the stream, this is what people don't understand about. I didn't play with Ndamukong Suh, but I can only assume. And Ndamukong Suh, the Jason Peter, the Christian Peters, when they dominated on the defensive line, it made the offensive line better because they had to get better, right? And probably maybe on the other side, if Jason came in and he's going against some good, the pipeline when he was younger, he had to get better. So then when you think about it, okay, let's just look at recent history and Ndamukong Suh. Matt Slauson will tell you going against him, he had to get better. He had to work after practice. I saw the offensive line have to deal with the Jason Peters and the Christian Peters and those guys. So that's how you build up in your trenches. You just don't. I think sometimes when it comes to recruiting, people's like, oh, we're just going to go get, Harrison and Jay Foreman and, Harrison from Oregon and Jay Foreman from Illinois, and we're both 5-star, and we're just going to just come here and all of a sudden our defensive line is good. It don't work like that. It doesn't.
I think the trenches are the biggest development spots by far.
Yeah.
Like you got to develop those guys early.
Well, well, yes and no, because I would ask you this. Is Jason Peter, when he's leaving, he wasn't the same Jason Peter. He had to get developed. It took some. I mean, granted, he developed rapidly. I mean, yeah, I could see like when I was a redshirt freshman, I was like, that dude is a dude, right? Because he was quick,
right?
He's tall, strong, nasty, right? But when he came in, he wasn't the dude that I saw when I first started playing, and definitely he got better every year. So you got to develop him. You're right, right? But that's a relationship. So the coach has to have a plan to develop him and kind of keep pushing him, and the player has to push himself and accept that coaching. I think sometimes in recruiting, because recruiting is as big as this season, which should never be it shouldn't be equal. I think sometimes people, and I think some coaches, previous coaches, staffs, and this is Frost and all the from Frost, for the last like 3 coaching staffs, I think they move on from kids too quickly. I think that's the worst thing you can do. And like, okay, I recruited Harrison, and just say you're struggling with time management, or just dealing with competition or figuring out how to play a different technique. I mean, let's be honest. If you're a defensive lineman, if you're Ty Robinson in high school, there ain't much technique. You just blow through everybody and just you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. And
you're
so
an athlete at that point.
Right.
They can find a spot for you.
Well, there's nobody that Ty Robinson went against that's as good day in and day out that he's practicing against right now. And that's at the University of Nebraska. So what I mean is you have to develop the techniques. You got to develop within the system. You know, you might be always just played on the right side in high school. Well, now you got to learn how to play on the left side. You have to line up differently. You need another hand in the ground. That takes a long time. When Jason Peter told me about the nuances of how he played defensive line right and left, and how he had to, he had a headache from looking out of a peripheral. He looking out of his peripheral and reading the offensive lineman, the adjacent offensive lineman from him. I mean, it got me confused. You know what I'm saying? And so it takes time to develop. So I don't want to turn the pages on any of these guys. They do have to develop at a pace, right? Because the reason why you have to develop at a pace, because if you decide to, and this is where I think Ty, hopefully the light will come on, right? And he's gotten, I thought that second half of the season, he turned it up.
Yeah, the second half of the season was what I was hoping to see.
Right.
It was getting closer to
it. Was getting closer. It's not what we needed more. Come on, Harrison. You too nice.
No, getting closer to the ceiling, but the consistency is what's missing. If you want, he
started to be more consistent because you started to hear his name, whatever. But what you don't want is somebody that plays early, and then I've seen this happen at Nebraska. You've seen it other places too, where you play early and then you get complacent. See, well, I think what Matt Rule and those guys are going to do is alleviate that by constantly recruiting. Now, that doesn't mean that, hey, Jay Foreman's playing, I've played well for you, and, maybe I need a kick in the butt, and here comes Harrison, and you make a couple plays in the scrimmage, and next thing you know, I'm out of here. I don't think that they're going to do that because that's impulsive. But I think the culture that they're trying to get at the University of Nebraska, and again, I can't speak for them. I can only in particularly hope. But what it looks like is constantly you're having to earn your spot. I mean, I never felt comfortable here and started 4 years. I felt like I always wanted to prove something. To be honest with you, the last couple of years, I wanted to play more. So I was fighting a, unforeseen object. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to play more. I wanted to widen the gap. I didn't want there to be any discrepancies of who was the best at my position. So that's what you have to do to continue to develop. And the more guys you bring in is going to make it either amplify. And they always say that, the cream rises to the top, pressure builds diamonds, pressure bust pipes, all that type of stuff. So I think it's a big year for Ty. And it's a big year for some of those guys. Ty, Nash, Blaze Gunnerson. It's a big year for Jamari,
Still got Borders.
I was about to say it's a big year for Chief Borders, which is different. I think he's like before we go to break, I was just about to get into him. I think he's could be your surprise player and your asterisk, right? Because
what do you mean by asterisk?
Asterisk is like maybe not right away, because I think he just needs to learn how to play like outside linebacker,
right?
So then he can unleash what what his body can do. So the asterisk is kind of like Ty. Like, you might not hear from him in the first couple of weeks, and you'd be like, oh, man, that's a waste of transfer portal. Get him out of here, right? That's exact. We should timestamp that, pin that, right?
Okay.
And see but then if he, keeps at it and works, then you're like, oh, I heard his name, right? Oh, he's on special teams. Oh, he made a play on defense. Then you're going to be like, oh, that's the asterisk meaning, right? Like that's that's the addition. You know what I mean? Because it hasn't had a lot of talk, right? This offseason. He's learning, because sometimes when you come out of like high school, highly touted like him, and you get to Florida and you have so much turnover in defensive staffs, assistant coaches, and culture, because Florida's fire you quickly. You'll be there and just barely close on your house and get your basement fixed. Next thing you know, you're calling the same realtor to get you out of town. Well, that hurts players that need to develop, because he's extremely superior athletically. But you got to be coached and develop, like you said, to be a better football player. And that's where he's at right now. So I think he's an asterisk, but he could be your surprise player as the season goes on, because the one thing I like about it is that they're going to demand these players to work hard every day and earn it. So that's the first segment, Inside the Huddle. Second segment, we're going to talk a little bit about the Zoom call for NFL running backs. I'm going to bring you inside the huddle and the NFL perspective what it would be like or what they're talking about to try to help themselves so the running backs can get paid. Jay Foreman, Inside the Huddle. I'll be right back. This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
This is Bud Seinhorst, President and CEO of LIBA, the Lincoln Independent Business Association. Join us every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket for the LIBA Business Hour, as we discuss local business and highlight those who are thriving in the Lincoln area. It's the LIBA Business Hour, Saturdays from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends, surprise parties, camps, birthdays. The same way you plan for the important moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Old School with DP and J.
As long as it's taken for him to build up that program to be pretty successful by their standards and look, pretty successful by Big Ten West standards, you have to take that into accountability. You can't be an impulsive, in-the-moment type of decision maker, because how you handle Pat Fitzgerald could stymie you from hiring, because those coaches talk.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
They are our love bugs and companions. They are our pets, our family, and they make life better. When we face unexpected challenges, so do our pets. That's why we're on a mission to support people and their pets. Whether donating a bag of kibble, sharing an Instagram post of a lost cat, or welcoming a foster pet into your home, every bit of kindness counts. Visit petsandpeopletogether.org to learn how to be a helper in your community. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Are you a veteran looking for a new companion animal? A dog, a cat, or maybe something else? The Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs Vets Get Pets program can cover up to $350 of your pet adoption fees. Visit veterans.nebraska.gov/vetsgetpets to learn more about program requirements and how to apply. Want to help support the program? Get your Vets Get Pets specialty license plates from the Nebraska DMV. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
On the Block with Strick and Austin.
Sometimes playing with a healthy fear is good because it makes you go, hunt it out. Because the more tentative you are, I always told kids, I said, listen, if you don't like this and you don't want to play, don't play. Because you're going to be worse off and get probably hurt more by being tentative in your play as opposed to playing all out.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Back to Inside the Huddle, sponsored by Advanced Medical Imaging. Here is your host, Jay Foreman.
We are back. Jay Foreman, Inside the Huddle. Again, brought to you by Advanced Medical Imaging, 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. We'll help all your needs. And the thing is, they have a different game plan, or we'll provide a game plan for you to alleviate yourself from pain, so you don't have to be taking a whole bunch of pain pills. So I appreciate their help. I appreciate their support. I appreciate all you guys getting up on Sunday mornings, dealing with me and Harrison, in particular me, taking you inside the huddle, giving you the ins and outs and ends of my take on Husker football and sometimes the NFL stuff and football in general. We're going to talk NFL running back collusion. But before we do that, because we got what, Harrison, about 20 minutes?
This one will be about 15.
15 minutes. See, hey, man, Harrison, I'm telling you, DP, if you listening, Mark, I'm not even gonna say Rico because I put Rico in the trash can. Did you see that? Did you see that convenience store fight I was looking on Instagram?
No, what's going on here?
Two people were getting in a scrap. It wasn't even a scrap. Somebody pushed them, fell down, took the person that fell down, put them in the trash can. That's what I would do to Rico. Anyways, I love you, Rico. But I will say to the powers that be, we need more time. We're going to try to find a different time. We got a little bit of ideas what we're going to do during the season. But back to business real quickly. I know the reason why I'm going to jump on this quickly is even though we did the defense line, I'm going to spend 10 minutes on this, and then I'll do 5 minutes on the collusion. I'm going to do the offensive line. I just got a wild hair, that I was looking at him. The starters seems like it's going to be Ben Scott at center. I like them. I liked him when they got him out of transfer portal. Nori coming back off of injured reserve or suspension. I'm assuming right now, and a lot of things have to be health wise, and this is where you're going to have your surprise. And the asterisk guy for me is always when you get something out of them, whenever that may be. Assuming Bryce Benhart is going to be the right tackle. And as of right now, I'm assuming if they had to play today, Turner Corcoran would be the left tackle. Now, I think that maybe their best line 5 is Ben Scott, Nori, Turner, probably at guard, Bryce, and then Teddy Prohaska, right? Now that's injury. There's a lot of injuries there, right? So let's look at those 6 guys, and Ethan Piper's in there, right? So, so that's what 7 guys. I think there's 6. Nori, you could say he was injured just because he was on suspension, or he didn't come back rusty, and he's healthy now, and he had a little bit of shoulder thing, but so he's gone or was gone last year. Turner was hurt, towards the end, had some stuff cleaned up. And Teddy. So those are a huge part of your offensive line that you need to get back healthy. I think if they come into camp healthy, I think you'll see by the second week the continuity will go up, and the continuity with having Coach Raiola back, and it is huge because I think, like I said, I think they played better at times than they got credit for because it's the easy excuse. It is. It's just like that's the go-to, and it's the go-to. To even if Nebraska loses a game this year, to say, it's the same old Nebraska. I always say this: don't show up to a game or watch a game. Doesn't do you any good. Already written your review. Like it's like going to a movie and already written your review. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Good or bad. Like I love Star Wars, but there's some that they made have been straight up booty, right? I can't come in here and say, man, all of them are great. But that's just a matter of my opinion. But I can't go in there and just already have a preconceived notion. I think with this offensive line, I feel good with Ben Scott. I do, from a leadership standpoint. And also, when I get into the surprise player, he's going to be a part of that equation as well. He gives you position flexibility. I feel good with Nori just because I've seen him. He looks like he's in good shape. I think last year did him some good, but I think once he got over I let myself down, let my team down, because Nori really wants to do it. That's one thing about Nori. He's like a pleaser. He wants to do.
He took care of his body over this, which is a good sign. Right. He took it seriously
because he really could have went up, or he could have went up and be 350. Then you're like, you're done. He's in the best shape I've seen physically. Since I've known him, and it's been over 2 years. He looks in the best shape. So that lets me know mentally he's in a good place. I think. You know what I mean. So I feel good about him. Bryce Benhart, actually ran into him the other day. He's as lean as he's been since he's gotten here, right? So hopefully he's gotten more flexible. And then you got Turner. I think he just needs to, stay healthy. I think he's had some weird injuries. He had the hamstring injury, so he couldn't get any leg work in. Then he had a little bit of injury, I think shoulder or something last year. He looks pretty fit. And then it's comes down to Teddy Prohaska. Can he stay healthy? That's the big thing. Can he stay healthy? Even when he is healthy, there's a learning curve. He hadn't played football essentially for 2 years.
Yeah.
So you're not coming in and you ain't a Orlando Pace, right? So there's going to be a learning curve. That's why Turner might be out there, but Turner's got to play well.
Well, the only real game we saw him really take
In
off,
Michigan.
and he's fully healthy. Yeah, and that
was a couple quarters. And that was a couple quarters.
Yeah,
right. So, but again, you can't start anointing these guys before they start playing a season, not a game. Then, so really, also then we'll dive into Ethan Piper, Ben Scott, and Jenkins, right? Justin Evans Jenkins. We're gonna call him the law firm. When you have the hyphenated name, that's like your Evans Jenkins. Evans Jenkins, right? Now this is where I think things could be, fruitful for Nebraska. Ben Scott has played guard, has been effective at guard. One of the stories that didn't get a lot of run coming out of spring ball, and I'm assuming everybody's had a good summer, is Justin Evans Jenkins being a freshman, coming in and taking off at the center position and playing well. and he plays with the right disposition. He's a state wrestling champ from, I think he's New Jersey. A little bit shorter, but he makes up with it. But with his speed and quickness, 6'2", 280. And if you've seen Jason Kelsey walking around, he might be 260, but he's played 12, 13 years in the league. He's going to be in the Hall of Famer. So size isn't needed. So the reason why I say he's the surprise player, because if he continues to improve, it allows the coaching staff to have more options, right? You can move to Ben Scott to guard. Now how does that happen? The pressure, just like Ty Robinson. Now here's the pressure on Ethan Piper, right? He's a local kid. When you think about, I remember talking to Coach Zach Duvall. Ethan Piper he called him twitchy. He was strong. He was quick. All the things you needed. Now you need him to put it together on a consistent basis, right? And so,
Raiola coming back's huge for
him
too.
Right? Yeah,
I said it over the break, but the amount of turnover, those guys got beat up on a lot. And there's games that could have played better, but the amount of turnover they had, I mean, it's just tough to do. I mean, you've probably been around it more, but a new offensive line coach is going to come in. It's not going to be the same lingo.
It's not going to be the same lingo.
Teach everything the same. You're going to have new. It's all going to be different. If you're constantly changing what your foundation, to me, it's always just like brutal for those guys to expect them to come out, be ready to handle Big Ten football with little to no foundation, just constantly getting turned over.
And the offense was different too. So I mean, where you think of Whipple was obviously very pass happy. Raiola wanted to kind of line up and knock people off the ball, keep it very simple, right, and build from there, kind of a la where he got started, Notre Dame, Wisconsin, where he played. Well, then you weren't able to do that. You saw a little bit in the first game, you weren't able to do that, and then there was games that really got away from it. So then you expose your weaknesses, and there's health concerns. Obviously, people getting hurt. I think the continuity was there, and then before there was always, I felt like it's well known that there was I felt like, Greg Austin wanted to run it more. That we wanted to run a little kind of Adrian, Greg Austin wanted to be more conventional. It just was a philosophy weren't there. And that's years and years that, that you're doing it. So these guys have finally got some steady ground of a coach that they had last year. They all believe in Coach Raiola. He's changed their mindset.
Well, he's done good on the recruiting trail too,
right,
which is always a big concern.
Right. That's what everybody, we talked about it on Old School this week. Everybody's like, last year, what people didn't, last year, they didn't let him recruit.
Yeah.
So they didn't let him recruit last year, and then everybody's dinging him up saying he can't recruit. Well, then he goes out there and recruits. Then everybody's trying to make excuses. Look, the man can recruit. He has a personality as an offensive line coach.
Got the NFL connections.
He got the NFL connections. He's got a brother that his name's in the stadium. He knows what he's doing. He's played the position, and these guys all love him. Even Brant Banks that left, they all love him. And so I think another year with him and a philosophy from an offensive coordinator and a head coach that matches his personality. That's huge, because what players do, they're very receptive with their eyes. So if they see, they'll feel it. One philosophy over here, one thing he wants to do, is almost like creating a whole bunch of confusion. So I think it's going to come down to this offensive line real quick. It's going to come down to the health of Teddy Prohaska, the development of Ethan Piper. Can he take that step? Because if Teddy Prohaska is healthy, it allows Turner to kind of kick inside. And then if Ethan Piper wants to take advantage of the situation, then you finally have some 7-8 guys that you can roll out there. along with the law firm. And then they did a really good job recruiting too. Gunnar Gatula from here, a local kid. You saw him in the spring, did not look out of place at all. So that's a props to him personally coming in and fitting in. Props to Coach Raiola, getting him up to speed very quickly, and also he's going to be pushing guys for playing time as well. So I think they're better off if everybody stays healthy and continues to improve. And they had to have a huge summer. So I wanted to talk on the offensive line about that. But on to NFL news, and we'll get to it in a very short segment also coming up after the break. But if you hadn't heard, me and Harrison talked about it, that the NFL running backs haven't been getting paid. Saquon Barkley, franchise player, not just running back, hadn't get played. Josh Jacobs has been the most consistent out of all the running backs that got franchise, didn't get a contract. Pollard, no contract. Austin Eckler, who, for you fantasy fans out there, Austin Eckler is pissed off. Draft him in the second round.
Leading touchdown rusher last year, too.
Yeah.
If you need any more reason.
He's going to score, and he's going to score a lot. And he's going to be used. If you wanted to see how he's going to be used, he's a good inside runner. So he's great out of the backfield. So Pollard, last year at Dallas, Eckler probably times 2. Catching him out of the backfield, screen game, explosive plays. He didn't get a contract either. Derrick Henry is in on it because he's in the kind of last year of his deal. He'll be either re-signed back with Tennessee or gone.
Yeah, how old is he? What is he, Derrick Henry now? 29, 28?
Yeah, but see,
29.
for him, he's right. And this is the great thing about Derrick Henry and some of the other guys that are, and I'm assuming McCaffrey's getting in it, is that they know with the way the salary cap is going and where the aura around the running back position, they know they're on 1-year deals. And so if the money's dried up for the younger players, the older players definitely ain't getting paid. So they know, right down the road, they're all going to be in the same boat.
Yep.
And so it's good. I think they even got Bradley Chubb there. He probably has the most secure position. He's with the Browns, off the radar. They need him. They pound the ball. You know what I'm saying? You got to think a guy that had 800 yards 2 years, 3 years in a row, Kareem Hunt hadn't got sniffed into signing anywhere. And then you got throw Dalvin Cook in there. So what they're doing now is they're doing a Zoom call led by Austin Eckler, who's been very thorough, fact-based arguments, which is true. All of them have produced. And so they're trying to band together and trying to find a way to work around this. We don't need a running back anymore or anything like that. Or you don't need a high price running back because of Pachenko with the Chiefs. I was, driving in Austin, there's one running back that doesn't help them. And it's funny because this team's drafted a running back, and it's Atlanta Falcons. They drafted a running back, Robinson, out of Texas, who's supposed to be next level, kind of, can run in between the tackles, got superior quickness, can take house call you, 4.4 40, and he's an actor. I saw him on his pre-draft thing. He's an actor. And here's what Atlanta spent that draft pick on him. And this is where you got to look at deeper in the NFL and how they're thinking. They're just like, hey, we're just going to use these guys up, right? Well, last year they spent a 5th-round pick on Tyler Algier from BYU. DP probably hype. He loves everybody from BYU. From BYU, he only had 210 carries and ran for over 1,000 yards. And that's splitting time with 2 other guys on a bad team.
How many yards?
It's 4.6 yards a carry, which is 5th in the league. He faced the most 8-man boxes in the whole NFL because once Pitts got hurt and then Mariota was kind of on the win, in the win.
Yeah, you knew where it was going.
You know where it was going. Still produced. See, if I'm him, I want out of there because you got this dude coming in. He's going to get all the reps or all the run. But what it also is showing you that the way the NFL is set up, because they'll rather let you run the ball, that you can get guys in the 5th round that can produce. So when it comes down for these guys to get paid, I think if they don't have the lowest franchise tag number, it's one of those take the kicker and punter out of it. They're one of the lowest, but they're one of the most needed position. So when you look at the Chiefs, Eagles, they all need a 1,000-yard physical runner, but they don't want to pay you big money.
Well, I was going to say, I feel like a lot of teams now, they don't necessarily need that 1,000-yard runner. It's just running back by committee. And that also hurts them. You're not seeing a lot of teams just pick their bell cow. Well, I shouldn't say a lot of teams, but I feel like more and more you're getting kind of a two-man running back system now where you're not really getting your bell cow anymore.
Not anymore because they're trying to have a third down back, a kind of, do it all back in a pounder. But take Patrick Mahomes off the Chiefs. Take Jalen Hurts off the Chiefs. They need Sanders. They need a better running back to Pachenko. Pachenko is good because guess what? I'm more worried about Juju Smith-Schuster, Travis Kelce, and what Patrick Mahomes is going to do. And then that's how you get a lot of, I call it light boxes for him to be effective. Right. So it's kind of a smokescreen versus like New York. Barkley is their offense.
Well, that's what surprised me. I mean, you extend Danny Dimes
quickly. Well, yeah, quickly.
But I feel like Saquon Barkley's got to be a big part of that. I mean,
well, you should have flipped it. Why not try to do the Kirk Cousins? Prove it again. We'll franchise you again, and let's pay him. But if I'm Saquon Barkley, I think you only have to play 6 games in order to kind of get your credit season. You wouldn't see me to week 11.
I think he's been talking about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's going to take somebody in that stature to move the needle, and he's going to have to do it kind of like Le'Veon Bell did for everybody else. Le'Veon Bell isn't as bad of a dude talking when he was forecasting this a long time ago. AD and you Pittsburgh fans right there, think about that. But we're going to go to break here, come back, quick segment. Jay Foreman, Harrison, Inside the Huddle. We'll be right back. This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
Our Remington Homes has really expanded and taken off in the last 5 years.
Bob Benish of Aspen Builders, talking about their exciting new division, Remington Homes, which makes the home building process easier and more affordable.
The exciting thing about a Remington home is you get to choose your floor plan from predetermined floor plans. You can select your options. We give you a lot of choices. By selecting certain floor plans, they're just easier to build. And you couple that with our great lot selection in all different areas. People do not want to be married to their house payment. They want to get a nice house with nice finishes in a great area for an affordable price. And that's what Remington Homes are all about.
Home building is easier with a Remington home from Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at remingtonlincoln.com. remingtonlincoln.com.
This is Bud Seinhorst, President and CEO of LIBA, the Lincoln Independent Business Association. Join us every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket for the LIBA Business Hour, as we discuss local business and highlight those who are thriving in the Lincoln area. It's the LIBA Business Hour, Saturdays from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Nebraska State Veterans Homes are here to serve veterans, their spouses, surviving spouses, and Gold Star parents. Join your fellow veterans and their families at one of our homes in Bellevue, Kearney, Norfolk, or Scotts Bluff. With a sliding scale to determine your financial contribution, an excellent clinical team, and plenty of fun activities, our homes are the perfect retirement choice. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/homes. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
You're listening to Inside the Huddle with Jay Foreman, sponsored by Advanced Medical Imaging.
We are back inside the Huddle. Jay Foreman, Advanced Medical Imaging, 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. Take care of all your pain needs. But Harrison, you're the NBA expert. You know what, Harrison? We're gonna change some stuff up. We're gonna do an NBA show, man.
All right, where do you want to go?
Well, we only got I'm about to go home. We only got 4 minutes.
That's what I mean with the conversation.
Oh, we're going. I'm gonna two things, right?
All right.
It's just kind of did you a little FYI or to see if you knew. Did you know that Joel Embiid and my man Trey Young got married this weekend?
No.
Yeah,
I did
both
not
of
know
them.
that.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah,
Shout
Trey
out to
Young.
them.
Yeah, good. Yeah, big ups to them. Joel Embiid. I think he has a couple kids. Trey Young got married, and the only reason I saw is because Trey Young grew up playing for Mocan Elite or whatever. Mocan is just like an AAU team, and they posted about it. That's the only reason I knew.
It's always kind of crazy to see those wedding photos with those guys.
Yeah,
just by the sheer size of everyone around them.
And Trey Young's
family
tiny.
member who's just like your regular average day Joe.
Right.
It just doesn't look like he belongs.
I know, right? But in more important news, I was listening to what was it, Cameron and Mace's? You ever watch their YouTube channel?
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces.
Right. Well, they had Paul Pierce on.
Okay.
And Paul Pierce said, now Paul Pierce, I don't think I've seen ever since Paul Pierce got himself fired from ESPN, which is the dumbest thing that he could do, right? I mean, I always say there's two things: get fired from an easy job like that, or go to the combine and fail the weed test. It's just dumb, right? So Paul Pierce, he's the truth, but the truth is you're pretty dumb. He was on there and he said, I want your opinion on this because he's not a Chicago Bull, but he's a Chicago native.
Mm-hmm.
He said that he was better than Dwayne Wade. What's your opinion?
No, I'd put Dwayne Wade. Well, give me a sec.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna give you what Paul Pierce said. Paul Pierce said if you put LeBron and Shaq on my team, I win more than one title. I win 2 or 3. He also says that he was a more complete player than Dwayne Wade. It's just that Dwayne, essentially, this is the Cliff Notes version. Dwayne Wade was a flashier player, slasher like this. But Paul Pierce, he's like, I was bigger. He's like, I had face-up game, 3-point game. I could get to the rim. I could back you down. I could hit free throws. And he's like, I was a better shooter than him. And he's like, Dwayne Wade was a flashier defender. He's like, but I guarded more positions.
I'd still go with Dwayne Wade, I think. I'm going with Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even before LeBron got there, Dwayne Wade was taking it.
Yeah.
To
well, he won one with Shaq. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. He was doing it all already.
Yeah.
Defensively, I don't know what he means by flashier, but if anything, I'd say
more
Pierce
like
was
steals
flashier.
because he's up front of the defense.
Yeah,
Paul
but,
Pierce, Yeah.
No, I'd throw Dwayne Wade above him. That's what about you? Is it close? To me, it's closer. Once I actually thought about it,
it's very close.
Yeah,
it's very close because there's things that Paul Pierce can do or did that Dwayne Wade.
But some of those things are just size. And am I gonna?
But Paul Pierce was a sniper though.
Yeah,
and he had some huge games. I mean, Paul Pierce was when he broke all like Larry Bird's records. There was a while there when he was just bare minimum playing with those Celtics teams where he was flat out unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Dwayne Wade as well, but Paul Pierce was. I think one thing about Paul Pierce, and you see this sometimes with players before we get off, is that he was caught up in the air, whether it was LeBron, and he played for the Celtics, and they didn't do a good job of continuing to push him, and they didn't surround him with. So he never. I think he just doesn't get the respect he deserves as a player because he only won one championship.
He never had the organization behind him.
Right.
It's kind of my whole frustration with Damian Lillard. What's Damian Lillard's biggest weakness? He can't play like a defense.
Right.
Like, he gets skates off that all the time. He's a great player, so like you shouldn't get super hard on him about his defense, but he's never been able to play defense. Let's combine him with CJ McCollum.
Right.
Doesn't hide it. Let's combine him with Anthony Simons. Doesn't hide his defense. Like every time they never gave him a guy to help him out, kind of like Paul Pierce thing, right? Like you're not hiding any of his weaknesses. You're not going to win.
Yeah, I think if Kendrick Perkins doesn't get hurt in that back-to-back series against the Lakers, and they should have won that series, the whole Paul Pierce, what people think about him is totally different.
Oh yeah, you win a ring, it's different.
Well, he won one, but he went back-to-back, and he would have beat the Lakers and Kobe. It's a lot different.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. I wanted to pick your brain. I know you're big in the NBA, but another week down inside the huddle goes way too quick. Jay Foreman, appreciate Harrison on the 1s and 2s. We'll be back next week as we move closer and closer. We'll be after Big Ten. I'll give you my wrap up. So Jay Foreman, Advanced Medical Imaging, appreciate it. We'll be back.